Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking with me through that break. If you were just tuning in, we've been doing a whole baseball prediction show. We have made it through the AL and NL East, the AL and NL Central. Here in segment 3, we are going to finish off the divisions. We are going to start talking about the AL and NL West, consisting of the two representatives of the World Series from last season, as well as some stalwarts and some of the most stacked rosters in all of baseball. But before we get into that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to GSMC Sports Network, GSMC Podcast, excuse me, gsmcpodcast.net. Leave a tip or donation. We appreciate anything that you do give. Once again, that link to leave a tip or donation is gsmcpodcast.net. If you leave a message with it, it'll pop up on the bottom of the screen. We'll have a little discussion about what you had to say. gsmcpodcast.net. But like I was saying, we are going to talk about the AL and NL West. The AL and NL West consisting of the two representatives of last year's World Series with the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. It's going to be a very interesting season for these teams, I think. I'll start in the NL. They're the only two. The Dodgers and the Padres played two regular season games in Seoul, which, side note, I think is dumb to have that be regular season games while spring training was going on, and then at least having them come back and play more spring training games after that. Anyway, that's a whole nother tangent. I am not a fan of that. I think they could have handled this a little bit better. It kind of takes away a lot from opening day. But they split that series. The Dodgers, who had probably one of the best off seasons of all time, adding one of the best players of all time, Shohei Ohtani, for a $700 million deal. 10 years, $700 million. They added Yoshinobu Yamamoto on a $300 million deal, the prodigy pitcher from Japan. He pitched his first game. He got chased after an inning. We'll see. The jury's still out on it. I'm not too worried about him yet. Could have been anything, nerves and stuff. But Yamamoto is going to be nasty in the league. The Dodgers have one of the scariest big threes you can possibly imagine. Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. Those are the big three, and you haven't even gotten down to guys like Will Smith, who's an elite catcher, Max Muncy, who's a great power hitter. Clayton Kershaw is still on that team. They added Tyler Glass now. It's it's a stacked roster over there in LA. And I expect them to run away with that division. Quite honestly, it would be a shame if they didn't. They were going to win over 100 games. But if there's a team that can keep pace with them, and I do not think there's a team that can keep pace with them, the Arizona Diamondbacks, your World Series runners-ups, they basically returned all of the same roster. They still have their ace, Zach Gallen. Corbin Carroll is still in there. That roster is super young, super hungry to get back there. They're going to be really, really good this season. If they were in a division with anybody else that wasn't the Dodgers, I think they would probably win it. They're probably the third best team in the NL behind the Braves and the Dodgers. Pretty easily. I think there's a gap between the Braves, Dodgers, everyone else, and then you have Arizona and Philly together, and then the rest of the NL is kind of below them. So it's crowded there at the bottom in the NL. The wild card race is gonna be crazy. But the Dodgers should take that division easily. On the flip side of it, the Colorado Rockies, I expect to be the worst team in that division. They haven't done anything too productive this offseason, and they've been bad for quite some time. But a team that's really interesting to me, and a team that I had trouble at least ranking in this division, the Dodgers. Not the Dodgers. The Giants. The Giants had... The Giants are a team that just kind of refuses to give up. They had that dynasty that ended almost 10 years ago, I believe, but Buster Posey retires. They're kind of mediocre last season, and then they kind of retool. They haven't gone into a full rebuild mode since I can remember. They've been trying to compete with an old roster, with paying guys, paying free agents, making smart investments. They have a really, really good pitching staff. They added Blake Snell to that, the reigning NL Cy Young. Um, they, I think, are what the Padres want to be. The Padres went out and got bigger names than the Dodgers, but I think that's kind of the model that the Padres have been following. I think, at least, not really building from the inside, getting all these free agents and just holding a core. The Padres have kind of been a light version of that. They have not been very successful with it. But the Giants, I'm a big fan of what they did this offseason, really. So I think the Rockies are going to be at the bottom. I think the Padres will be the fourth team in that division, which is kind of crazy looking at their roster on paper with Xander Bogaerts and Manny Machado, and it it's just a mess. That whole team has been a mess for years. They were supposed to go all in, make this push, but they just have not been. They've been super disappointing, and I hope they can change it because those elite players that are on that team, they deserve to be successful. They deserve to be remembered as a great team because they could have had an all-time team when they had Juan Soto there, but it just wasn't working. Whatever they did was not working. Um, so I have the Padres there at 4. The Giants I'm putting there at 3, below Arizona and the Dodgers. Arizona is just a super young team. We saw what they did last season. They beat the Dodgers in the playoffs. They obviously made it all the way to the World Series, where they ran into the buzzsaw that was the Texas Rangers of the 2024 MLB postseason, or 2023 MLB postseason, I guess. Uh, it's it's kind of unfair to play in a division with the Dodgers. Uh, Wild cards in this division, I expect Arizona to be in there. That's a lock. I think the Giants might be able to slide in. I think the wild card in the NL is going to be a race between the the Mets, the Dodgers. I keep saying the Dodgers, the Mets, the Giants, and the the St. Louis Cardinals. Those three, I think, will compete for that last wild card spot. But we'll break down the playoffs in our segment coming up. Let's transition over to the AL side. The AL West is also really interesting. You have the defending World Series champions in the Texas Rangers, but if I'm being honest, I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. You have a juggernaut, a team that's probably still in dynasty mode, uh, in the Houston Astros, a team with a couple Hall of Famers on the roster. Uh, they're going to be really good. Well, one of the best pure power hitters in the game in Yordan Alvarez, uh, one of the best run producers in the game. Uh, they're very, very good. I think the Astros are going to win this division. The A's obviously are at the bottom. The Angels with Mike Trout, as good as Mike Trout is, we've seen it. He cannot win. He's not enough to be successful in Anaheim, which is a shame. He needs to get to the playoffs. They need to get something going. It's been generationally mismanaged during his tenure there, which is a shame because he's one of the best players of all time. So Oakland fifth, they're just a mess. They are going to be homeless next season as they try and move to Vegas, but they don't have a place to stay in Vegas, and they're not coming playing back in Oakland. Um, Angels are just ahead of them, probably the two most incompetent run teams in baseball right there. And then you have the Mariners. The Mariners, a team that broke the playoff drought 2 seasons ago, uh, and kind of have been dead even since. They have one of the most electric players in baseball in Julio Rodriguez, and I'd love to see him in the playoffs again. Um, and I think they might be able to get in. They made this couple smart, savvy moves. They're not really spending a lot of money right now. They have all their prospects up. Like I said, they were bad for a really long time, and now they are in wild card conversations. Um, I just and then the Rangers, and this might be a hot take. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about this division all that much. Uh, I don't think the Rangers are going to make the playoffs. I think defending champions are gonna they lost a couple pitchers. Pitching was already their weakness. They are gonna have guys like Wyatt Langford up, who how he fell to them, I don't understand. They got very lucky in that draft with a couple mistakes being taken, but Wyatt Langford is going to be very good. I believe he broke camp with the team, and the Rangers, their offense is going to be great. I just don't trust that defense and that bullpen. It just doesn't do it for me, and I think that might have them miss the playoffs this season. Seattle, I have ahead of them in that division at second, and Houston, I have winning it. I think Houston is just too good, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers made the playoffs because they are the World Series champions. But there's just in how crowded the AL is. I just don't think they're one of those. I don't think they're one of those six best teams. I just don't think they're quite there. I think they might be number seven. You have at least four teams in the AL East that I think are better, but not all four of those teams are going to make it. They're going to cannibalize themselves a little bit. They're better than every team in the Central, and I think they're kind of on the same level as the Mariners are. It's just bound to the ball, whoever's going to be second in that division, I think. So it kind of puts them in that 7-8 region, so just missing it. It's going to be really tight. I just don't see them making the playoffs. I really don't. So in the AL West, Houston's winning it. I think Seattle's going to be second, Texas third, Angels fourth, Oakland A's fifth. And in the NL, the Dodgers obviously are going to win that division. The Diamondbacks I have coming in second, with the Giants in third, the Padres in fourth, and the Rockies in fifth place. The wild cards coming out, I have Arizona in the NL, and I have in maybe San Fran, and in the West, in the AL, I don't have any wild cards coming out of there. I think the wild card slots are going to get taken by the East, every single one of them. Maybe the Mariners sneak into that last wild card spot. But anyway, in our next segment, our final segment of the show, we are done with breaking down all the divisions. We are going to go into the playoffs. We're going to do a little playoff bracket. We're going to break down the bracket for you, see who I have winning, go round by round. So thank you so much for tuning in so far to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. We'll be right back with playoff and award predictions right around the corner. We'll be right back.